pictures with fans. Tomorrow, I believe it starts at 11, and then Sunday at 12 noon. And then you're going to be also in the Juarez room at 5 o'clock tomorrow with a nice seminar really talking about your career I guess, the Hulk and everything else that you've had a chance to accomplish all these great years.
Oh, yeah, but I'm looking forward to the show because I have my pictures, my posters. People bring memorabilia for me to sign. So it's fun because they have a professional photo op. I mean, there's so much to do. It's a great show for kids, for families. They get a chance to see the cosplay of the other celebrities.
What's the coolest piece of memorabilia you've seen a fan bring in for you over the years at all these Comic-Con shows?
3 months ago, I was in New Orleans. There's a guy named promoter, and his name from New York is called Mike Carbonaro.
Okay.
He had a copy of the first issue of Superman.
Wow.
It's $1.5 million. I held it in my hand. I was afraid to hold it. My father had these comics. He threw them away when I was young.
Oh. Now, if it makes you feel any better, my dad had baseball cards that were probably valued at $1 million. They got thrown away by his mom when he was away. So I don't know what it is about people collecting years ago, and for whatever reason, nobody really thought anything of it at the time, so they threw everything away.
Well, nobody knew how popular, like, for example, comic books would be, even like the old baseball player, because they would assume there's always somebody else around the corner.
That's right. So $1.5 million for this Superman.
Yeah, the first issue.
Action Comics.
It must
have been in pristine condition.
Oh, it was. It definitely was.
You're probably afraid to hold it, because when you see it, you're like, I don't know what, your hands are almost shaking because you don't want to drop it or anything.
But it's my second exciting thing. What's happening with people now, there was a woman that came to me. She had Hulk tattoos on her calf, and she had my signature tattoo with the Hulk on her leg. And the husband was looking at me, frowning, hating me, because every morning that poor guy got to wake up and look at the tattoo on her leg and see my signature as well.
That's the greatest. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, it's great. They love the Hulk.
That's exactly. Now, a question coming in on Twitter, and this is a good one from one of our listeners, Yin Yang Samurai, wants to know, was the rivalry between you and Arnold really that intense, or was it all show on Pumping Iron?
No, it was intense because I wanted to win the competition. I wasn't in my best shape. And, of course, he had this arrogant personality. So that's what made the movie interesting, because I was like the dark horse, and he was like the guy from California, the champion. So it was tense. Whenever you compete in any bodybuilding contest, it's always tense.
I would think also that was before a lot of – nowadays you get reality shows, and a lot of this stuff is staged. So at least back then in the 70s, that was before all of that happened. So you had to figure a documentary like that would really be the real thing.
Well, it's amazing because they capture all the true moments. And you know what the other reality show I did recently that's not staged? Celebrity Apprentice.
I've always wondered about that. Because
One take.
That was it?
One take. And they interview for hours, and they would look to take the worst out of it. Because it's all about raising money for charity, which I think Donald Trump helped me raise $100,000. But you never know what you expect on that show, and no one likes to get fired.
That's true. Now, speaking of Celebrity Apprentice, did you believe that Donald Trump would ever be president? Is that something you ever discussed with him those years when you were filming that series? Or
we talked about the Homeland Security, but I don't know if you know this. About 3 or 4 years ago, one night, President Obama had some kind of a fundraiser or something, and he picked on Donald Trump and made fun of him. Donald was in the limo with his wife, and he said to his wife, "Someday I'm going to run for president." You know what his wife said to him? "You got one problem. You will win." Yeah, that's a true story.
And look at it now.
He's a bright guy, and I feel safe with him, especially now in our country we're going through, especially with North Korea. I mean, it's just, that's my opinion.
Now, that show, by the way, and I guess we'll one last question, then we'll get to the other stuff. But you're doing Celebrity Apprentice. You said it's one take. And that's competitive as heck, too, because everybody wants to win that show. Nobody's really going there. The longer you last, the more money you raise for your charity, and obviously you play to win.
Well, I'm the only athlete that makes it a 9th show, but no one likes to be told you're fired. I mean, it's humiliating. You can't help but take it personal. If I had to do it again, I would look more like it's a game.
The only thing I always noticed was when you get fired and then they show you walking into the limo, you're always wearing 2 different items. You're always wearing 2 different sets of clothing.
Well, they filmed that before you get fired. They filmed that the first day when you arrive in New York, because that's basically preparation. So So if you do get fired, they use that scene in the limo.
So they don't actually fire you and then shoot you in the limo. They get everybody going into the limo before everything starts.
Right.
Okay.
Otherwise, walking out to the limo, but they'll film you afterwards, maybe in a room or something, your opinion about the show. But walking into a limo, that's all pre-take.
How intense was it, by the way, with all those other celebs spending a couple of weeks at a time and just trying to film all these episodes?
It was tense because you're 5 o'clock in the morning, you have the camera in your face, you're in the makeup, you don't get back to the hotel till like 10 o'clock at night. You can't eat when you want to eat, and you have to constantly be on the lookout.
But you know what it's like as far as intensity and makeup goes. It took you 5 hours just to get your makeup on and off when you were playing the Hulk all those years. And that's incredible, too.
I was the first one on the set, the last one to leave, and I had to do that makeup sometime like 12 to 14 hours a day.
How did you do it knowing that you work long days, then you probably have time to just go work out for an hour, get about 5 or 6 hours of rest, and then go back to the set again at 4 or 5 in the morning and start your makeup? How do you do all that and not get drained mentally from everything?
You think about the paycheck.
It was a nice paycheck.
Money talk, bullshit walk.
Uh-oh. Well, let's put it this way. You had the opportunity to also work with a great cast. You're opposite Bill Bixby, and it's hard to believe he's been gone 25 years, somebody that was, the two of you were such a great team, and yet, you never got a chance to talk. It was just physical. You never got to hear anything come out of you.
Well, Bill was the best. He was a wonderful director. He was a wonderful producer and an actor as well. I learned a lot from him. He was like my mentor. And, he was a good friend because when you're filming a TV series, you're spending more time with your co-star than with your wife.
I believe it. And
80 hours a week. And
you did that from 1977, I think is when you started, till about 1982. And you got married in the early 80s.
1980.
Right? So you somehow found a way to be a newlywed in between all those shows you taped. And really, I think it's funny because you, in that show, and Linda Carter with Wonder Woman at the exact same time, also on CBS, you guys paved the way for what we're seeing now with all of these movies and installments and TV shows of all the comic books that have come out now.
Well, before the Hulk, at the time, they had Spider-Man and Captain America failed. But because the Hulk was successful, that would lay the groundwork for all the shows you see today because you were the first one. I was more like the pioneer.
Did you have any idea when you first signed up for this and they convinced you to play the Hulk opposite Bill that this had any kind of a shelf life, or did you think this was going to be a very short-lived opportunity?
I was hoping to get picked up with the series. And I felt inside of me, part of me told me that this is a good show, people will like it, but I did never expect that it became an explosion. It just, every nationality embraced it.
Not only that, you did almost all your stunts because they couldn't find a body double for you. You were so big at the time, and here's what I never understood. So you're doing all these scenes and all these stunts, and you're having to run barefoot through everything as the Hulk. How do they do it where you protect your feet so your feet don't get cut up during all those days?
Well, they made sure they would clear the area if there's any broken glass. A couple of times I got cut. A lot of time I did my own stunt, jumping out of buildings, hanging from helicopters, because, like you said, you can't fool the audience because there's nobody my size, my stature, that would look like the Hulk that could duplicate me in the stunt. So I had to perform all my own stunts myself.
And it also had to take a great toll on your body, I'm sure. Doing stunts, people don't realize if you're a professional stuntman, that's dangerous in itself. Here you are doing it all in the suit.
Well, I had a great stunt coordinator, and they were looking after me because if I had one major injury, they have to shut down production. So fortunately, I was lucky that we were very careful how I perform all my stunts.
Did you ever have a scare during those 5 seasons? Ever anything where you came close to really hurting yourself that you can recall?
I think one time, this is the funny story, one time they had the breakaway wall, and they were running out of time. The director said, when you go through the wall, do not stop for anything because we don't have a second wall. I said, okay. So he screamed action. I run. I'm trying to break into the wall. And I'm having a hard time. I'm saying to myself, is something wrong with me? And I'm pounding. I made my way through. As I'm going through, I see nails and screws. Later on, the director apologized to me. I had ice on my shoulder. He said it was actually a real wall. It wasn't a fake wall, actually a real wall. So in real life, I went through a real wall.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it myself.
Oh, my goodness. All right, look, we're near the end of the hour. When we come back, I'll talk more about Comic-Con, and I want to also talk about And this is very cool because there's going to be a lot of fans coming by, as you know, not just from El Paso, but from the areas that have seen you. You're Lou Ferrigno. That's the best way to put it. So they're going to want to take a picture. They'll get the opportunity to do so at Comic-Con with you tomorrow and Sunday. Yeah,
because they have my picture, my poster. They come to the table. They could buy selfies, take pictures. There's so much to do because of the other celebrities. It's a fun show. And, it's all about what you call a good pop culture. You are. You're a pop culture icon. That's exactly right. Do people buy more photos of you from winning the Mr. Universe or from the Hulk? Now, it's Comic-Con. They do. The original Hulk, yeah. Because I can imagine that there's a lot of bodybuilders. They have bodybuilding pictures, too. And bodybuilders look up at you as an icon because not just the Hulk, but all those titles. Think about all the people that have gone into weightlifting and bodybuilding over the last 30, 35 years that see you as one of the all-time greats of the sport. I put the sport on the map and everything. Yeah, for pumping iron. That's exactly right. So you have those as well, posters, the Hulk too, and that's going to be fun. And then the panel, I think, is going to be good too. 45 minutes. They'll get a chance to talk about your career. Do you usually go through everything during that time, or do you try to stick on really on the Hulk since it's Comic-Con? At the panel, I talk briefly about what I've done in my life, and I usually do a Q&A to spend time with the fans to answer questions they have, and then it's just talking about data. It's unreal. Okay, now, by the way, we haven't mentioned this. King of Queens. You played yourself all these years later. That had to be a thrill for you because with all the movies you've done and everything else, this was a chance to beat you on a hit show that everybody had a chance to watch not that long ago. Yeah, because I did a movie called The Godson and with Rodney Dangerfield. So one night the producers were watching them film. They said, why not invite Lou to be a guest as a neighbor? So the reaction was phenomenal, so they made me a regular on the show. And since then, I've done another great comedy called, a movie called I Love Your Man. Very popular as well. Jason Segel and Paul Rudd, because I love doing comedy. How was it getting a chance to work with Kevin James? I've heard he's one of the best. Oh, he's iconic. It's incredible. You know what's interesting? When you're with him, all these actors like Jerry Stiller, they're very subdued and quiet, but you put the camera on them. It's amazing what they can take off paper and they show on the screen. He's a super nice guy. I really enjoy working with him. I learned a lot. What's the most fun for you as an actor? What do you enjoy the most about really getting out and doing different pictures and different films and shows? Getting into character. When I play different roles and everything, knowing that it's a dream coming true because I had a kid that couldn't speak and couldn't hear, and look where he is now. Had I told you in your bodybuilding heyday, when you were competing, that you'd be a pop icon and you'd be an actor and a motivational speaker, what would you have told me at that point? I would say you're crazy. Isn't that amazing? It is. But every dream I've had come true. I'm only half done now. There's so many things I want to do, more things I want to do. Like what? Tell us. Having my own series, making more feature film, getting involved, promoting more physical fitness, like across the country. Now, you've got your own fitness products. That's big. You've got now your fitness box. Is that still something that you have? Yeah, it's great. FerrignoFit.com. It's great because we have the fitness box, and every 2 months you get a new box. It gives you all the tools how to get yourself in great shape, what to do, how to work out, and everything. And that's run by my daughter and I. And the other thing I want to mention called Ferrigno Legacy. I have my big bodybuilding show, fitness show, physique, and bikini in Palm Springs every year in California. It's the biggest and the best show in the West Coast. Now, as far as let's start first with that show. Was that something you've always wanted to do, or is that something that was more of a recent idea with your family to get involved and put together a bodybuilding figure? It's something I wanted to do, but my son came along and met the great promoter. He came up with the idea. I said, it's great because I can't do it on myself. So he MCs the show. He has the same name. He's 32. He's filming 2 different series, and he's an actor. And he's also a big fan of bodybuilding. Now, how hard is it for Lou Ferrigno Jr. to know that he's in your footsteps? Because that's the thing. Everybody's always going to compare somebody to their dad. So was it difficult for him breaking in, knowing that, yes, he's my father? Yeah, it was, because he kind of resented when he was young. But I said to him, you continue. You raise the bar that I can't do, other things you can do. So now he kind of like enjoys the fame and the attention, because why not? Because there's so many celebrities to help their children. And I said, why not? Because when I came from, you could take it to the torch even further. Did you ever take time away and from all of this, and then
just concentrate on raising your family with your wife and just being Lou Ferrigno, the dad, and kind of put all of Hollywood on hold? Or have you always been working all these years pretty much straight through?
I've always been working on and off. I've always been with my family. I'm always home every night having dinner with Stefan, filming a series. And then I'm away from home. Like I was in England for 3 weeks filming this movie. So, but usually I've always been with my family since they were young. When I traveled to do other films or for like personal appearances, I've taken my family with me, like to Egypt, the different foreign countries.
As far as Ferrigno Fit goes, how about that? And now, there's got to be a lot of people that own health products that are pitching to you all the time and saying, Lou, this is something that we need you to endorse. This is going to be the one. How do you pick? Because you're still in great shape after all this.
We have my own product, Ferrigno Fit. We have our own protein, vitamins, everything.
Was it difficult perfecting exactly what you want to get to that spot where you could put your name, your label, and really get the right products to match somebody's fitness goals?
Well, my daughter did is basically she would get hold of the product. We would do a testing group to have the product. And I want to make sure before I stamp my name on the product, that got to be the most efficient, the best protein on the market. And vitamins as well.
And obviously your family, your kids, as much into fitness and staying in shape as you.
Yeah, they're all personal trainers, and they're all keeping shape. Like my youngest son is 27, he works till 10 o'clock at night. When he comes home, the first thing he does when he goes home, he goes to my gym to work out.
Is that the greatest part about really for you, your family legacy, knowing that they've all followed in your footsteps in one way, shape, or form?
Yes, and I never pushed them to do it. They just fell into it. Because I never believe forcing your kids to do something they don't want to do. Because each one of my kids were overweight when they were young. They changed their whole lifestyle and everything. Because when you're a child, you want to force your child to eat in a certain way. If they want to eat candy, but to educate them knowing that too much candy is not good. Be careful with the sugar. But you don't want to refrain them from eating any kind of sweet. It's important they have that growth.
That's the hardest part, too, though, when you really think about it. Because diet is so big. And knowing that there are so many products now that aren't the healthiest thing in the world. But on the flip side, we're in a society today where people want to stay in shape. You look at the different fitness centers and the gyms and all the different ways people can now stay in great shape. It wasn't like this 20, 30 years ago.
Well, 50 years ago when I was a kid, I couldn't afford weights. You know what I did? What? I got cement pails. I filled it with cement. I put a broomstick in the middle, waited the cement hardened. Then I made my own makeshift barbell.
Is that the truth? Yeah, that's how you started this?
I could not afford weights. I made my own weights. I was so determined to work out. That's why today there's so many kids on iPhone with the headphone, watching TV, sitting on the couch. They need to get out and exercise because in life you have two things, your mind and your health. And your health is your greatest wealth.
Absolutely. That'll drive you crazy when you start to see all the different distractions out there today for the kids. But you were able to do it and made makeshift barbells to get into it. That's a crazy story. I'd never heard that from you before, and that was essentially what really got it going. And your parents obviously were supportive when you told your mom and your dad, this is what I wanted to do. Even if they couldn't afford to get you those weights, they supported you and encouraged you.
Well, I had other families, other friends, they had weights because they had money. I didn't have money. So instead of being juggled and envious, I say I'll make my own weights.
Knowing you came from your background and were able to become successful and become wealthy as a result, does it make you more humble knowing where your beginnings were when you think back to your childhood and where you are today?
Yes, I never forget where I came from. That's why I don't associate myself with people with egos because everybody's the same. I treat people for who they are. I don't care what disability, what physical disability you have. It doesn't matter. It's all about people. It's all about good people because it can't hurt to be nice in life.
Let's read some questions for you. Oscar wants to know, what actor have you enjoyed working with the most or had the most impact on you?
Bill Bixby, because it was the beginning of my career for 5 years.
And you call him, you've said that he was really coming like almost like a father figure
like
for
a second father, yeah.
That's incredible. Has there ever, let me think here, has there ever been a part that you turned down that you regretted after the fact?
No, but there have been parts that I was offered. I couldn't play these parts because I had interference with other films. Like, for example, I was filming Sinbad in Italy, and I was offered the role to be in Princess Bride. But because I was committed to Sinbad, my role went to someone else, and I was very disappointed. I've never really turned down anything, unless if I had to, depending on the schedule conflict.
What was the Princess Bride role?
Fezzik.
Oh, yeah?
I went to read for Rob Reiner. He said, you're hired, you have to part. I was ecstatic. I fly back to Italy, and they told me that Sinbad, we had to film until October. They were beginning to film Princess Bride in September.
Oh.
I was devastated.
You missed it by 1 month.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I can imagine. Working with Rob Reiner would have been unbelievable had that been the case.
Oh, it would have been great, yeah.
Okay, before we wrap things up, Comic-Con this weekend, tomorrow, Sunday. Photos, you have the chance, 11 o'clock tomorrow, 12 o'clock on Sunday. At 5 o'clock tomorrow, you've also got the chance to sit in on what's going to be great to me because it's a career retrospect where they look at you and talk about you. Give me your thoughts of where you kind of see this whole movement, the comic conventions going in the future. It's evolving. Does it surprise you that there are so many fans from around the world that continue to demand for things like this, people like yourself to come and make these appearances?
Well, you see, years ago you had comic convention, but because of social media, now Hollywood embraces it. Now it became because of social media, pop culture, so now everyone knows what comic convention is. Not a comic convention just to go read comic book or look at comic books. It's all about connecting with celebrities and the latest in show business. And it's very positive because it's nothing to do with drugs, sex, and violence.
That's great. Now for you, 65, look great as ever. Where do you see yourself over the next 5 to 10 years from both professionally, business-wise? You mentioned all the things you still want to do that you haven't done yet, but where do you see the Ferrigno business, interests expanding? What's coming up?
I would just see it be a huge empire where it'd be something like that people, every person in the country and the world would know about the Ferrigno products, and also I'd like to have my own series. And knowing that I don't have to travel as much, I could do my comic conventions. I could be home instead of filming in a different country.
What's the series going to be? Is it going to be reality shows?
I want to do a sitcom or a drama series, but I love doing sitcoms. I love comedy.
Have you already come up with an idea? You just got to get
No,
the right
but the
pitch?
problem is that to have an idea, you have to approach the network, and it's all about being approved. I have a different script. I have 4 films coming out this year.
4?
4 films coming out.
That's a lot of films.
Yeah, I just finished a movie with a guy named Adam Goodwin. I have a movie coming out called Instant Death. It's a British film coming out in 2 weeks. I just finished this film, and also I have another comedy coming out.
How do you want people to remember you? When you think back and you hear that name, Lou Ferrigno, as far as your legacy, how do you want to be remembered by people?
The incredible Lou Ferrigno.
That's just as simple as that.
Oh, incredible. That's the name. Just that signifies and explains everything. Everything beyond that is incredible.
So as long as they keep incredible and Lou Ferrigno together, you're a happy guy.
Perfect.
Loved meeting you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Enjoy your time in El Paso.
You too. Appreciate it. Thank you.
The incredible Lou Ferrigno, folks, as we continue here on Sports Talk at Comic-Con all weekend. We're back with more right after Charlie 1 in traffic.